Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ignorant Intellectual on Media. Today, we're doing our next video on the father and daughter top 100 movies of all time list that we got off Amazon. We've done 7 episodes so far. This is episode 8, and the movie in question is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, I don't know when this movie came out. When did this movie come out? The Last Crusade. Let me guess. It's 1987. 1989. Oh, pretty good. All right. So, came out in 1989, directed by Steven Spielberg. I think George Lucas was a producer on this. Spielberg and Lucas kind of collaborated on a lot of stuff over the years, right? So, and stars Harrison Ford. Now, Harrison Ford had 2 huge roles that made him a superstar back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and that was this one, where he's made, I think there's 5 Indiana Jones films now, but there was the original trilogy, and then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I think there was one just recently, but I haven't watched it yet. So, and the other one was his role in Star Wars, which was, what was his role in Star Wars?
Never watched that.
You never watched Star Wars? Okay, well, you're gonna go Star Wars is on this list.
Wait, so Indiana Jones is in Star Wars?
No, he's had 2 major roles.
Oh.
Indiana Jones was one of them, and the other one was
So
God.
Put it as a photo.
Yeah, I'll put it down here. I'm having I'm getting old, right? So, in the Star Wars films, it'll pop into my head as we're talking. Anyway, so this one is the 3rd in the Indiana Jones original trilogy. All right, so you had Raiders of the Lost Ark, or as they changed it later, it was Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. But originally, when the film came out in the theaters, it was just Raiders of the Lost Ark. But then they changed it later. And the second one was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, Raiders of the Lost Ark is on this list, but the Temple of Doom is not on this list. All right, so they did the first one and the third one, but they didn't put the second one in. So my guess for that is the film puts a dim light on Indians and Hinduism. All this, the scary parts in the film are all about, it made Indians look bad, right? So that might be the reason. I'm not sure. But I still enjoyed that film. But the third one was better than the second one, and the first one was better than the other 2. So I don't think she's seen any of them except for the one that we just watched last night. So you really don't need to watch them in order, because they're all, individual films that don't necessarily have to, they don't bleed into each other or whatever, right? So this film is basically about Indiana Jones and his father going to search for the Cup of Christ, the
Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail, right? So, and there's a bunch of Nazis, just like in the first film. There's a bunch of Nazis after it as well, right? So, the thing that I liked about this film was, it's an Indiana Jones film, so there's always lots of action and humor in that action, right? But what was extremely funny to me was seeing Sean Connery playing Indiana Jones's father, because he was like, through the 60s up, he was always playing action. He was playing an Indiana Jones type character in most of the films that he was in. And in this character, his father, he plays more of like a bookworm, right? And, like he's not like, he's not James Bond, you know what I mean? So you see him in a film where he's not like a James Bond type of character, right? So it was kind of funny, that was. Kind of reminded me of Roger Moore, who took over the James Bond character after Sean Connery stopped doing the James Bond character. Well, Roger Moore is actually gay in real life, right? So I think it was the Cannonball Run, but don't quote me on it. But the Cannonball Run shows him after he was doing roles as James Bond, as this, ladies' man and, slick guy and a spy or whatever. And then he's in the Cannonball Run, he plays a gay man, right? So it was like quite a shock for a lot of viewers, right? So I thought that was quite funny. So in this role, it's kind of it'll be a bit of a shock. I mean, if you're young and you end up going to these movies, you won't get the connotation because you weren't around watching all the James Bond films back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and then you realize that Sean Connery is playing like an old man who's like a bookworm, right? So he's like got an obsession with the Holy Grail, and he ends up getting kidnapped, and his son Indiana Jones goes in search for them. And then they go searching for the Holy Grail. Overall, it's an Indiana Jones film. It's going to be pretty good, right? So, what do you think?
Okay, so I've been familiarized with the name Indiana Jones, but I've never actually saw any movie of it until now. And I mean, picturing him based on the name, I was expecting him to be like in full on like adventure gear, but on that movie he was kind of like a professor, so he was like wearing like a collar, like a suit and tie. So I was like, that's not the Indiana Jones I expected. But yeah, overall, I was expecting it to be just like an action movie, just just a whole lot of running around, like fighting people. But it was actually hilarious. Like I was laughing. I was genuinely laughing at like most scenes. The funniest scene that I laughed at was when they were at that big balloon plane. What's that called?
Oh, the Zeppelin. It's like the Hindenburg.
Yeah, like it's just like a big bubble of plane, and it was at that scene where he threw that one guy out of the plane, and then all the passengers were shocked, and Indiana Jones was just like, "Oh, no ticket," and they all just grabbed out their ticket in panic because they didn't want to get thrown out as well. So yeah, that was really hilarious. And also, I was expecting at the end for them to acquire the Holy Grail and not just leave it there, because I mean, like, his father dedicated his whole life to finding this, and he saw it and he just let it go. So I don't know, like, I feel like, I mean, he achieved his goal. He found it. He saw it, but doesn't have it. So
I think the Templar knight that was in there that lived such a long age because he was drinking from the cup. Because in this film, the cup gives you eternal life, right? But you can't leave the cave with the cup, otherwise it doesn't work, right? So the cup would have to stay, and if you wanted to live forever, you would have to stay in the cave and protect the cup, right?
That's what I was expecting for the
So
father.
so it was like, okay, it's not much of a reward. I mean, if you can't bring it with you, you're stuck in this cave. It's not much of a life, right? So I wouldn't argue for it to be in the top 100, but I would have picked Raiders of the Lost Ark and just left it at that. You don't really need any of the other Indiana Jones films that are kind of taken away from another great film that you could put on the list, right? But if they put it on the list, it's not really. It was a fun film. It was funny, adventurous. All the all the buttons were pushed for an action film, so it was good. And we'll watch Raiders of the Lost Ark because it's higher ranked. So we watch the third one first, and then we'll watch the first one after. All right. Let's the coins there. Let's scratch, see what they have behind Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Hold on. All right, so we're going to scratch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, directed by Steven Spielberg. Let's see what's underneath. Looks like Indiana Jones in the moonlight.
Oh, son.
That's kind of cool.
But how does that relate to the movie?
Oh, it's just such an iconic character. But the funny thing is, did he even use his whip in this
No.
film? No, because he was famous for the whip in the first film, right?
Oh, well, he did use it on the lion.
Yeah.
But just on the lion.
All right, so that's Indiana Jones, number 8. 8th film that we did. And next up is what? Oh, next up is Logan. I don't know why that's there.
Wolverine.
Yeah, so we'll review that movie next. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up, think about subscribing, and we will talk to you in our next video on Logan. All right, you have a great day.
Bye.